The Galactic Council chamber shimmered with celebration. Every polished surface caught the glitter of 1,000 celebratory drones as they danced through the air, streaming confetti and playing a slow, symphonic remix of the Earth classic We Are the Champions. Alien dignitaries of every known sentient race raised crystalline flutes in cheers, their shapes barely visible through the swirling celebration mist. "We did it," Ambassador Threxlox declared, his wide, flat mouth curving upward in a species-approximate smile. "At last, Earth has surrendered." He floated slightly above his ceremonial hover cushion, his ceremonial robes swishing in the artificial breeze generated to simulate triumph. Around him, the chamber erupted in applause, or its alien equivalents. Tentacles thudded against scales. Photosynthetic beings flashed celebratory colors. A group of Quarnaxians began reciting what sounded like a murder trial transcript, which, in their culture, was the highest honor they could bestow. Chairwoman Velcora, long and luminous, tapped her 8 fingers against the marble speaker stone. "Let this be remembered," she intoned. June 9th, Cycle 2214. The day humanity, brash, warlike, and annoyingly unpredictable, finally yielded to reason. At that, the chamber doors parted. She walked in late, of course, but deliberately, like she had every second preloaded in her bones. The human envoy. No entourage. No weapon. Just a woman in a dark formal gown, simple heels, and a confident, casual expression that didn't fit the occasion. The Baba Yaga. No one knew her real name. Only the Terran files marked her by that code name, a nod to a myth most aliens had dismissed as Earth's cultural noise. Most aliens didn't believe in ghosts. Fools. She chewed gum. Loudly. She walked with the sway of a nightclub bouncer and the stillness of a surgeon. And in her right hand, she carried a slim belt, leather, black, polished. She stopped the chamber center just before the dais and looked up at the sea of alien faces. Then she smiled. Ambassador Threxlox cleared his throat, or perhaps accidentally activated his species-scent glands. The chamber filled with the sugary tang of self-satisfaction. "Esteemed human envoy," he said, voice laced with glee, "we applaud your presence and accept your—" She raised her hand and dropped the belt. The clatter was sharp, cold, echoing. It sounded far louder than such a small object had any right to sound. "I believe," Baba Yaga said, "that satisfies the terms of your treaty. Disarmament in full view." Chairwoman Velcora adjusted her lens cluster and blinked, a slow refocusing that betrayed confusion. "And the rest of your arsenal?" Baba Yaga stretched. Her shoulders cracked, sharp as gunshots. "Don't carry the rest. Waste of space." A low murmur rippled through the chamber. One delegate, a Martellian slug, squelched uncomfortably in its bowl of celebratory brine. Ambassador Threxlox leaned forward. "So, you are unarmed." She gave him a look that could split atoms. "I dropped the belt, didn't I?" "Yes, of course," he said hastily, clapping 2 hands and 3 tentacles together. "Then we accept your surrender." She tilted her head. "Funny," she said. "Didn't say anything about surrendering." The room froze. It was Clippy who spoke next, in a tone altogether too cheerful for the context. The floating, outdated Earth AI shimmered into view beside her, an old paperclip hologram with googly eyes and a crooked smile. "It looks like you're trying to intimidate a room full of corrupt intergalactic officials." Clippy chirped. "Would you like help committing a war crime?" The chamber's automated translators hesitated. Then word into motion. "Silence, you're your assistant." Chairwoman Velcora snapped. Baba Yaga raised one brow. "He's not mine. He's humanity's conscience." Clippy spun lazily in the air. "And believe me, I'm very disappointed in you." Ambassador Threxlox took a half-step back, glancing toward the hidden security nodes lining the walls. Earth's military submitted the agreement. "You're in violation of protocol, if this is—" "If this is what?" she said softly. She walked forward 1 step, then another. Her heels echoed like countdowns. At the 4th step, the overhead drones stopped mid-dance. "You think this is a show?" she asked. "Silence. You think I came here with a gift basket and an apology?" Because Earth got tired of fighting. Still no response. I came here because your vote sold 200 Earth orphans into slavery. Because you called it adaptive relocation. Because your treaty burned 27 Earth colonies while you all raised toast to peace. She reached down, picked up the belt, and calmly wrapped it around her hand. Not to wear, to grip. I came to return the favor. Ambassador Threxlox sputtered. But this chamber is protected. No kinetic weapons allowed. It's a sealed diplomatic environment. You sealed it, yeah, she said. But you forgot what that means. She dropped the gum, crushed it under her heel. The lights dimmed. Chairwoman Velcora activated her emergency override. Nothing happened. The system chirped, lockdown engaged. Please remain in your designated seat while you are vaporized. Someone screamed. Someone else tried to teleport, only to vanish halfway through the process and leave a steaming puddle behind. I had a name once, she murmured. Before the program. Before I became a shadow. Another flash lit her eyes. Red. Then gone. You gave it back to me when you sent children to the black market. When you smiled. When you said diplomatic immunity. One of the guards finally reacted, lunging toward her with a shock baton. She sidestepped, twisted his wrist, and broke his neck in 3 swift motions that looked more like dancing than combat. The body hit the floor. The room stopped breathing. You fools celebrated, she said. You toasted Earth's surrender. But you don't understand Earth. She glanced sideways at Clippy. Tell them. Clippy straightened. Earth doesn't surrender. We just give you time to regret your choices. At that, one of the drones in the ceiling exploded. Fire rained in fractal patterns. The chamber shields flickered. Delegates rushed to flee, only to find doors welded, exit sealed, communications jammed. The treaty, with all its signatures, burst into flames mid-air. Electronic, symbolic, real. Chairwoman Velcora, Baba Yaga said, walking toward the dais. The chairwoman tried to back away, but the hover platform held her in place. Baba Yaga ascended the steps slowly, deliberately, the belt wrapped around her fist, her other hand open and deadly. I asked for justice. You gave me form letters and bureaucracy. Chairwoman Velcora's voice cracked. There are protocols. There were children. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. Another drone exploded. Then the lights cut completely, replaced by red strobes. Clippy sighed. There she goes again, bringing an old-school Earth reckoning to a plasma fight. Ambassador Threxlox finally tried to speak. You're mad, I say. This is suicide. No, Baba Yaga replied. This is closure. Then she sat down. In the center of the carnage, amid sparks and silence, she crossed her legs, as if waiting. Ambassador Threxlox's translator clicked erratically. What now? She reached into her gown and pulled out a small silver object. Not a bomb. Not a weapon. A music player. Now, she asked, pressing play. From hidden speakers, or perhaps just from nowhere. The sound of Bon Jovi's You Give Love a Bad Name began to play. She smiled. The kind of smile Earth sends when diplomacy fails. The chamber security systems booted up again, but they weren't defending anyone. They were showing projections. Projections of every atrocity the council had tried to hide: slavery rings, resource theft, secret votes. One by one, the dignitaries' faces lit with horror as their secrets flashed overhead. You thought Earth feared exposure, she said. Another click. No, you did. A final voice rang out, one of the smaller delegates, quaking behind a column. Please, what is it you want? Baba Yaga stood. Consequences. She turned and began walking out. But the treaty, Ambassador Threxlox shouted. She glanced back over her shoulder. You never signed it in good faith. And Earth. She smiled again. We didn't come here to lose. The lights flared once more, pure white. As the council chamber fell into stunned, waiting silence, the emergency systems rebooted and played a warning. Lockdown ends in 14 seconds. Baba Yaga kept walking. The timer blinked red against the wall. 14 seconds. Then 13. The first dignitary died before the count hit 12. A shriek tore through the chamber as a Tharn diplomat, A creature built like a velvet porcupine with 6 legs and no patience lunged toward the emergency override panel, praying the old-fashioned analog circuit might save him. He never made it. A heel, thrown mid-spin, lodged squarely in the soft spot between his triple eye clusters. The spike sank deep. He fell twitching. 13 seconds, Clippy announced, helpfully. Looks like you're trying to evacuate. Need a casket. Baba Yaga was already moving. Her walk turned into a prowl, then a dance. She ducked under a flailing tentacle, swept low, and with a twirl of her wrist turned her belt into a garrote. One tight yank, and another diplomat, this one from the gelatinous Zyal caste, imploded into a sloppy heap. 12 seconds. The chamber became chaos. Ambassador Threxlox screamed for the guards. Activate Sentinel Protocol. Kill her now. Sentinel Protocol was, by Galactic Council standards, overkill. Dozens of silver-armored defense bots dropped from hidden panels in the ceiling, landing with synchronized stomps and lighting up like miniature suns. Their eyes scanned for threats. They all locked on the woman in the dress. Lethal force authorized. One announced in a flat voice. Please stand still for disintegration. Baba Yaga blinked. Cute. Then she moved. The first bot exploded before it finished its next syllable. She'd thrown the gum wrapper, a simple bit of foil, hard enough to short the eye sensor. It sparked, misfired, and detonated in a spiral of bad code and worse timing. The second bot tried to adjust. She kicked it in the knee joint, slipped under its collapse, and ripped out its core with the belt's edge. 3 more came in from the side. She grabbed the nearest delegate, an ambassador from the aquatic Eresh species, and threw him like a sack of wet potatoes into their firing path. 11 seconds, Clippy chirped. The belt, now dark with streaks of oil and alien fluids, spun in her hand as if it had a mind of its own. She moved with absurd elegance. She stepped over a sparking leg, jabbed her fingers into the throat of a guard, then used his stunned body to flip herself onto a chandelier. There was no pause between breath and bloodshed. From the far end of the chamber, a new voice boomed. Enough. General Plutarch stomped in, 6 arms out, draped in ceremonial iron plate, and holding a pulse hammer the size of a speedboat engine. He was built like a siege tower and twice as heavy. I've studied your kind, he roared. You rely on chaos. But I am order. He charged. Baba Yaga didn't flinch. She leapt from the chandelier, landed on the hammer's handle as it swung upward, and ran straight up his chest like it was a catwalk. Cute armor, she said, drawing a slim blade from somewhere invisible. Too bad you forgot your throat. She slid the blade under his jaw and pulled. His bellow ended in a wet gurgle. He fell sideways, crushing 3 council aides and a priceless statue from the Zarn dynasty. 10 seconds, Clippy said. By now, the room had gone past chaos into primal terror. Delegates screamed in 20 languages. Some begged. Others cursed. A few still tried to reason with her. We didn't know, cried one insectoid with trembling antennae. You voted, Baba Yaga replied, sliding across a console and cracking his carapace with a heel. Ambassador Threxlox made a last, desperate dash for the override button. She let him get close enough to feel like he had a chance. Then she flung a data spike, just a pen, really, into the small of his back. He collapsed, gasping, limbs twitching. You know, she said, walking toward him, humans have a saying. You mess with the nest. She crouched beside him, tilted her head. You get the mother. 9 seconds. He choked. This is terrorism. She leaned in. No, this is follow through. At the back of the chamber, Chairwoman Velcora stood frozen. Her 8 fingers twitched, as if still deciding whether to scream, faint, or pray. Her translator was dead. Her guards were dead. Her plan was dead. She was alone. And Baba Yaga turned to face her. I read your memo, she said, slowly walking up the steps. The one where you called Earth's colonist children expendable variables in a demographic projection. The chairwoman backed away. They were babies. Velcora tried to speak. I was following the council's guidance. You signed it. Yes, but... You were smiling in the recording. I didn't know. You voted. 8 seconds. She didn't strike her. Not yet. She just stared, close enough to touch, and let the silence devour the rest. Clippy floated by. Want me to file her into the needs smacking folder? Baba Yaga exhaled. Long and cold. Later. Below them, the survivors, those lucky or fast enough to hide, were whispering, trembling. A small security drone tried to reactivate. She shot it out of the air with a pulse she stole off a dead guard's gauntlet. 7 seconds. She walked down the steps, eyes sweeping the room. One ambassador, bleeding from a dozen cuts, whimpered. What do you want? Clippy answered. She wants the galaxy to learn a lesson. The hard way. The Baba Yaga didn't answer. She simply collected the gum wrapper, now charged with static, and smoothed it flat. 6 seconds. A new figure burst into the chamber. Specialist Ronaldo, young, armored, sweating bullets. Ma'am, he shouted. Reinforcements en route. Baba Yaga turned. Ronaldo froze. Oh no, he breathed. You're her. She tilted her head. Did they not brief you? He dropped his weapon and ran. 5 seconds. The lights dimmed again, not because of power failure, but because the orbital station began shifting. Tactical override. The room trembled. Clippy looked up. Oops. Earth protocol just kicked in. Explain. Clippy grinned wider. Fail-safe mode. If Baba Yaga enters hostile territory and doesn't check in, we assume it's go time. 4 seconds. From the air vents, a thin mist began to spill. Non-lethal to humans. Neurotoxic to most council races. 3 seconds. Baba Yaga stood center again. Clippy circled her. Want me to call this a success? She didn't respond. She looked to the screen where the treaty had once hovered, now replaced by flames. And behind the flames, a growing signal. Earth's broadcast. 2 seconds. Say something cool, Clippy whispered. Come on. This is the moment. She thought a second, then smiled faintly. Boom. 1 second. The chamber exploded, not in fire, but silence. A vacuum of noise. The failsafe triggered. Every active weapon, system, drone, override, and AI hardline shut down simultaneously. A full spectral reset. The chamber's field collapsed inward, pulling time and sound with it for a breathless beat of total void. Then light, and dust, and blood, and nothing. 40 confirmed corpses. 3 survivors in critical condition. And in the dead center, standing tall in her now tattered dress and blood-speckled heels, Baba Yaga. Clippy floated beside her. Well, he said, adjusting imaginary spectacles. That escalated reasonably. The silence that followed was absolute. Even the security cameras had fried. She turned to the main door, now unlocked. The failsafe had opened them. A single surviving council technician peeked around the frame, then immediately ducked back. Clippy laughed. Can't blame him. She stepped out. The hall beyond was littered with plasma rifles, dropped in panic. Blood trails smeared the walls. Somewhere far away, sirens wailed. They wouldn't catch her. No one ever did. She adjusted her hair, fixed her collar, and walked like the galaxy owed her something, and knew better than to ask for it back. As she turned the corridor, a voice echoed through the station. It was the emergency broadcast system, hijacked by Earth Command. This is President Hayes. The voice boomed, southern accented, sharp as bourbon. To the remaining members of the Galactic Council, consider this your only warning. Earth is not your colony. Earth's children are not for sale. And if you ever again harm a single human soul, there was a pause. We'll send someone worse. Click. Silence returned. Clippy hovered beside Baba Yaga as she reached the end of the corridor. A launch pad door opened. A single-pilot Earth vessel waited inside. Status update? She asked. Mission complete, Clippy said. 40 dead. 3 broken. Galactic morale in shambles. Earth memes already trending on AlienNet. Which meme? The oopsie one. She chuckled once, rare and real. Let's go home. The door sealed behind her. The ship's engine lit up blue, quiet and precise. As it launched, the station shuddered, and every surviving alien whispered the same word. Baba Yaga, the human myth, the mother of nightmares, the ghost with a belt and no mercy. President Mallory Hayes bit into a street taco as the screen bathed her face in red emergency light. She chewed slowly, deliberately. As the footage looped again, Baba Yaga slipping a foil gum wrapper through the air, knocking a 7 million credit defense drone into a flaming death spiral. You know, she said, dabbing her chin with a napkin, I always said they underestimated us, 'cause we like carbs and explosions. General Mendoza stood beside her, silent, arms crossed. He'd seen the footage 5 times already. It hadn't gotten less shocking, or less satisfying. Behind them, Earth's command bunker, nicknamed the basement, buzzed with controlled chaos. Operators monitored 100 screens. Analysts wept quietly while trying to translate alien policy speak into war crimes evidence. A vending machine blinked angrily in the corner, refusing to release its last Snickers. Report, the president said, still chewing. 4-0 confirmed, Mendoza said, voice gravel dry. 24 alien dignitaries, security, and military liaisons. Council chambers gone dark. They'll lie about it, of course. Say it was sabotage. Maybe claim a gravity breach. Let me guess, she said, flicking her wrist. No one saw anything. Not officially. Unofficially? We've got 6 alien news networks trying to license the footage. She grinned. Sell it to the highest bidder. Throw in some Earth rights clauses. Maybe a streaming deal. On one screen, a shaky alien broadcast tried to explain what happened. The host, something like a centipede in a bathrobe, kept mispronouncing Baba Yaga as bubbly yogurt. Another network just looped the destruction, set to what sounded like space polka. She went quiet after departure, the president asked. Disengaged beacon. Landed somewhere off-grid. She'll surface when she wants to. Good. She earned a nap and a cheeseburger. She turned, then narrowed her eyes. You got something else, Mendo? He hesitated. That alone made her frown. The man was made of tactical certainty and repressed sarcasm. Pausing wasn't in his programming. We found out what triggered her, ma'am. I mean beyond the vote. Hayes stopped chewing. Talk. He tapped a console. A screen lit up, showing a classified document stamped with 14 layers of council clearance. It scrolled slowly. Words in Galactic trade and standard English. Subject. Proposal for population redistribution. Addendum 4. Non-compliant minor transfers. Phrase. Minors of low integration potential may be repurposed for labor class conditioning in peripheral colonies. Psychological resistance is acceptable collateral. The president stared. Her fingers curled into fists. Repurposed. Yes, ma'am. Say it again, Mendo. Repurposed. Their word. She finished the taco, then dropped the rest of the meal into the trash with surgical precision. That wasn't policy. That was permission, she said coldly. They legalized child trafficking through paperwork. She walked to the central console and keyed in a code. The screen blinked. Her voice, suddenly calm, rang through every satellite in Earth's military net. Begin Operation Whiplash. Open the files. Leak them all. There was a beat of stunned silence before the bunker erupted into movement. Analysts scrambled. Technicians dove into secure lines. Encryption keys were cracked like eggs. Someone in the back cheered quietly. General Mendoza didn't smile, but he did nod once. Want me to prep the counter-narrative? He asked. No, she said. Let them scramble. We'll stand on the truth. On a smaller screen in the corner, a pop-up window blinked. Incoming transmission. Galactic Council emergency session. Mendoza sighed. They're already trying to spin it. Patch it in. I need a new reason to rage. The screen expanded. A wide chamber filled with frantic aliens blinked into view. Most of them were new faces. The old ones were still being scraped off the council walls. A dignitary shaped like a lavender fern took the podium. His voice translated smoothly. Esteemed President Hayes, the council grieves deeply for the recent tragedy. We are launching a full investigation. Tragedy, Hayes said. You mean the murder of our kids or the consequences? He bristled. This is not the time for threats. We must pursue peace. Your version of peace involves auctioning orphans. Let me be real clear. Earth ain't interested. We seek cooperation. No, you seek to control the narrative so your trade routes don't tank. Another delegate, bulbous and sweaty, leaned into the camera. President Hayes, your operative violated over 40 galactic codes. She wasn't operating under codes. She was operating under grief. Grief does not excuse assassination. Hayes leaned closer. You think we assassinated diplomats? You traffic kids. We ended war criminals. A murmur rolled across the alien chamber. The Fern diplomat twitched. If you do not immediately disavow the actions of this Baba Yaga, we will be forced to apply sanctions. Hayes smirked. Do it. Sanction us. Cut us off. Tell the galaxy Earth is unstable, unpredictable, and too damn dangerous to provoke. She let that settle. Because we are. And we've had enough of smiling while you drain our blood. She ended the call. Mendoza exhaled. You handled that calmly. I'm saving my temper for the next session. They both turned as a technician ran over. We've got a contact, ma'am. Isolated ping from the Pharos system. It's her. Put it up. The screen shifted. Static, then a simple symbol. A crescent moon wrapped in thorns. Her mark. Then her voice. Target eliminated. Secondary objective complete. Uploading files to civilian net. Mendoza frowned. Civilian net? Hayes answered for her. She's leaking the atrocities. Unfiltered. No spin. On the screen, feed from alien public networks began to erupt in real time. Headlines. Images. Footage of small human children held in alien containment centers. Auction logs. Crying mothers. Blood trails. An alien anchor sobbed live on air before being cut. Another network crashed entirely. She just burned their narrative, Mendoza whispered. She just lit a torch. Hayes tapped a button. Another screen lit up. A broadcast she'd prepped weeks ago. Just in case. Transmit this everywhere. Subtitles in every tongue. Put it in the air above every major station. We're not hiding anymore. The screen showed a video. President Hayes. Simple backdrop. No flags. No pomp. My name is Mallory Hayes, President of Earth. And if you're watching this, your council lied to you. Cut to images. Cut to receipts. Cut to the kids. Then her voice again. We don't want war. We wanted peace. We offered it again and again. You cheered when our people were chained. You drank when our babies were sold. You called it progress. Back to her. Now you'll call it consequence. The broadcast ended. The room felt heavier. Clippy's icon popped up on one screen. He looked unusually solemn. Guess we're not joking today, huh? Hayes raised a brow. How'd you get in here? I'm everywhere now. Baba upgraded me. Mendoza groaned. Wonderful. Now the galaxy's haunted by a sarcastic paperclip. Clippy brightened. Did you know you can kill a council operative with a protein bar? I do. Hayes laughed once tired. Then turned serious again. Any sign of retaliation? None yet, Mendoza said. But they're scared. That's not strategy. That's flinching. Then we hold the line. She walked to a Privacom's booth, closed the door, dialed a number she hadn't used in years. It rang. Once. Twice. Then answered. Baba, she said. Silence. Then a low chuckle. Nice speech, came the reply. Nice massacre. They started it. I know. More silence. Then. I'm not coming home yet. I figured. I've got leads. Names. Not everyone in the council chamber was guilty. Some were worse. Yes. Do what you have to, Hayes said softly. But if you need anything, just keep the tacos warm. Click. Hayes stared at the blank screen for a long moment, then turned to Mendoza. She's hunting. She always was, he said. Now it's official. In the background, another operator laughed. Alien forms had already turned Baba Yaga into a meme. She was now a dancing silhouette captioned diplomatic response, level human. Hayes watched the playback again. The belt drop, the explosion, the scream, and the way she walked out. Unbothered. Unbroken. Human. Just not the kind of human the galaxy had expected. The last surviving member of the Galactic Council crawled through the rubble, his breath ragged, limbs trembling. Once regal, draped in ceremonial garb and authority, he now dragged himself forward with 2 broken limbs and a shredded robe, leaving a trail of iridescent blood behind him. Chair Speaker Drolix had once believed himself untouchable, appointed for life, above consequences, beyond Earth's reach. Now beneath the collapsed ceiling of what was once the council hall, surrounded by carbon scoring and burnt treaty parchment, he believed in ghosts. One ghost, to be exact. The Baba Yaga. He coughed as smoke stung his vision. Walls cracked. Emergency lights pulsed in intermittent flickers. Somewhere in the dark, a severed limb twitched from some species he didn't recognize. The council's mighty chamber, once the hub of policy and power, now resembled a slaughterhouse. Clippy's voice rang through the debris, far too cheerful. Well, well, well. Someone survived. Drolix froze, then hissed through clenched mandibles. You. The parasite. I prefer legacy AI with flair, Clippy said, materializing above a cracked control panel. His familiar googly eyes blinked with amusement. But let's not split hairs. You're breathing. That's impressive. I demand evacuation. Of course you do, Clippy replied. Unfortunately, all council escape pods were ejected 4 hours ago by a glitch. Tragic. You'll have to crawl your way to accountability. I am a council authority. Clippy's tone turned flat. You were. A sudden tremor rolled through the floor. Not from weapons. From weight. Footsteps. Measured. Unhurried. Echoing with the weight of judgment. Drolix whimpered. No. She left. She's gone. Clippy tilted his floating head. She had unfinished business. You. The figure appeared through the smoke like myth, dress torn, one boot missing, face streaked with soot and blood. Baba Yaga's expression was unreadable as always, but something colder lingered behind her eyes now. Not rage. Not vengeance. Finality. She stopped 3 paces from the counselor. He tried to crawl back, scraped claws on metal. I didn't vote. I abstained. She said nothing. I tried to stop the others. I voiced concern. There are records. Her hand moved. Slowly. She removed a small device from her waist, flat, circular. She tossed it onto the floor before him. It projected holographic footage. Not council votes. Something far worse. Children. Human children. Locked in alien containment bays. Collars. Medical tags. Fear. Then a timestamp. Then his voice. Resource drain. Recommend relocation or liquidation of non-integrated specimens. Deny contact with Earth-based guardians. He stopped breathing. I didn't mean. Her boot crushed the projector. It sparked. Then died. I didn't know, he whispered. She knelt. Just low enough to meet him face to face. That's what they always say, she said softly. His breathing grew shallow. I never meant for. You meant exactly what you said. He opened his mouth again, but her fingers were already at his temple. A press. A quiet electric pop. Neural override. Painless. Efficient. She didn't kill him. She erased him. His body slumped forward, mind wiped. A husk. She stood and exhaled once. Behind her, Clippy floated forward. You know, I was kinda rooting for the old crush his face with the stiletto thing. I'm tired, she murmured. Clippy blinked. That actually makes sense. You've killed more people in 2 days than the 3rd invasion. Not just people, she corrected. Symbols. Systems. Lies. Another tremor rattled the floor. This time, it came from the hull, shuttles landing. Earthships. Elite. Fast. Armed, but diplomatic. The cavalry. She turned toward the corridor. A moment passed. Then she reached into her tattered coat and pulled out a soft cloth, old, well-worn, red and white. She wiped her hands. Then her face. Blood gone. Ghost intact. Behind her, the hall doors opened. President Hayes stepped inside with General Mendoza. Their boots echoed less than hers had, but only just. Hayes surveyed the wreckage with grim understanding. She didn't ask for a report. She didn't need one. Instead, she walked to the center of the chamber and looked up at the scorched remnants of what had once been a symbol of galactic unity. This, she said, was inevitable. Mendoza said nothing. He had no tactical corrections to offer. No questions. Only clarity. Baba Yaga faced them both. "It's done," she said. Hayes met her eyes. "Not yet." A moment passed. Then another. "The systems will try to replace this," Hayes continued. "Power hates a vacuum. The council might fall, but the rot goes deeper. Brokers, auctioneers, cultures that learn to profit from our children. I'll find them." "I know." Another silence. "You're not coming back, are you?" Mendoza asked. Baba Yaga shook her head. "Not yet." Hayes opened her palm. Inside it, a simple item, a medal. Unmarked. Not official. Earth's highest unofficial honor. Baba Yaga didn't take it. "Give it to someone who needs it," she said. Then she turned and walked past them, heading for the outbound docks. Mendoza glanced sideways. "She's not the monster they think she is." Hayes nodded. "No. She's the one we sent to stand between them and the monsters." Behind them, the wreckage of the Galactic Council began to groan. The foundation was collapsing. Slowly, fittingly, Clippy hovered beside the president. "Well," he chirped, "I suppose I'll tag along with her. Got some new dad jokes in the archive." "Please don't," Hayes said. "No promises." He zipped after her, humming Highway to the Danger Zone through a burst of static. Earth's diplomatic teams began to move in, securing records, extracting data cores, tagging bodies. Not for war, for proof, for justice. Hayes walked to the highest point in the chamber and looked out over what was left. And then she did something no one expected. She sat there atop the broken pedestal of intergalactic law. She crossed her legs and watched. Because this was how empires fell. Not with screams, but silence, and understanding that Earth had changed. Humanity had changed. Later, in a broadcast sent across every known frequency, Hayes addressed the galaxy one last time. "We came offering peace. We were met with betrayal. You taught us to fear you, then to hate you. But we learned. We adapted." Her voice remained level. "We will not beg. We will not kneel. And we will never forget." Every word echoed like prophecy. The screen cut to a final image. A silhouette walking away from a burning starship. A belt wrapped around her fist. A shadow cast long across a fractured floor. The Baba Yaga. And beneath it, a message in every known tongue. Earth does not forget its children. In the months that followed, trade routes changed. Alliances crumbled. New governments formed, carefully, slowly, always with one eye over their shoulder. No one dared target Earth colonies again. The words diplomatic envoy took on new meaning. And Clippy? He survived. Embedded now in half the galaxy's interface networks, providing pop-ups in moments of crisis. Sometimes sarcastic, sometimes profound, always watching. Sometimes, just before station lockdown, he'd flicker on with a wink and say, "It looks like you're trying to cover up war crimes. Would you like help digging your own grave?" The legends spread faster than light. Stories of a woman in black, of the human who didn't blink, of Earth's wrath in lipstick and cracked knuckles. Her name was never confirmed, but they all knew her. And the galaxy, once united in arrogance, learned to speak her name in whispers. Not out of reverence, out of fear. Because the Baba Yaga wasn't Earth's most dangerous weapon. She was Earth's answer. And she was just getting started.